Every night for the past 18 years, someone has been sneaking into my bedroom and sleeping next to me. I wouldn't even have found out about this if it hadn't been for my strange fears and paranoia. For as long as I can remember, I have been deathly afraid of sleeping alone. One of the starkest memories of my childhood is lying flat on my back in bed, feeling too scared to close my eyes, thinking that if I do, someone will appear next to me. The weirdest thing is that I never imagined this monster or whatever harming me in any way. It would always just lay on its side, watching me, with shining, unblinking eyes, and I would be too afraid to do anything, to move or scream. This helplessness that I would supposedly feel in an imaginary situation like that pretty much destroyed my childhood. It had gotten so bad that I would scream and thrash around like a brat well into my teenage years if I was ever forced to sleep alone. Until I was 10 years old, I would sleep in my parents' bedroom on a separate cot next to their bed. Then, up to my 14th birthday, I would force one of my parents to sleep next to me. And considering that I was raised in India, therapy wasn't even an option. But that didn't mean that my parents didn't try to get me over these fears. They tried sleeping next to me and sneaking out in the middle of the night, or sitting next to my bed and waiting until I fell asleep. But none of it worked. I would always wake up, sweating and scared out of my wits in the middle of the night whenever they tried this. I would then immediately scamper off to their bedroom and wake them up by whispering how scared I was, almost giving them a heart attack in the process. If I had to guess, these fears started when I was 8 years old, when my grandma gave me a doll of a clown that looked eerily similar to this thing. This was a clown from the horror TV show Whoa that my smart-ass dad made me watch around the same time, thinking I was too young to be affected by this stuff. He found out how wrong he was when I started screaming like a banshee when my grandma gave me that doll. My problems at night started soon after. I couldn't for the life of me close my eyes without thinking someone was going to be there when I turned around. On my 14th birthday, my parents finally put down their foot and forced me to sleep alone. I cried, I pleaded, tried to justify that I wasn't really a scared little boy, and that my fears were rational, but none of it worked, and so I finally started sleeping alone. This is when I developed my strange rituals. I would drink exactly 2 glasses of water every night 2 hours before bedtime, so that I neither feel thirsty nor do I have to get up to pee at night. I would then make sure all the doors leading outside were closed, draw the curtains, and keep the bathroom light switches on. Definitely the most important part of my nighttime rituals was keeping the pillows in a straight line next to where I slept, to block off space for any monster trying to sleep next to me. It took me months before I finally got used to sleeping alone. I wasn't comfortable by any means, but I would at least not be painfully sleepy the next day. Going to college was a godsend. I had a fucking single bed in a tiny room, surrounded by hundreds of noisy boys like me. While many others found it irritating, that noise was like a lullaby to me, doing the job of a therapist for me. After graduation, I came back to my parents' house and began preparing to take exams for government jobs. And my rituals started right back, as if nothing had changed, but I was at least sleeping better. It all came to a head when I got a job and moved into my own government-owned house with a double bed at the age of 26, just a couple of weeks ago. As my bedtime approached, I followed all my rituals. I drank my water, closed all the doors, drew the curtains, arranged the pillows, and slept comfortably. Things changed the next morning. When I woke up, I found that my pillows weren't there. They were neatly placed, one on top of the other, on the side table. The most terrifying thing about this was that it wasn't anything new. This had been happening all throughout my childhood. Each morning, the pillows I had carefully placed next to me would be gone. I had always assumed that it was one of my parents who had done this, especially my father, who was an early riser. But I was living alone now, and all my doors were locked when I checked them in the morning. I initially dismissed this, thinking that I might have forgotten to place them next to me last night. I was actually quite happy with this, as it looked like I was finally getting over my fears. But this happened again the next day, and the next, and the day after that. All of the fears of my childhood were back, stronger than ever. I was back to staying awake like an owl, only dozing off for a maximum of half an hour or so each night, and the pillows would be gone from the bed every morning. It was hell. Now I wasn't a child anymore, so I didn't just assume that something supernatural was happening here. I tried to act like an adult, to think rationally, even as I was too scared to even tilt my head to the left when lying down on the bed. Maybe I was sleepwalking? Maybe that's how those pillows were moving at night all throughout my life. It was not something my parents knew about, however, and instead chastised me for being so cowardly as a grown-ass man. But I needed answers, so I went out and got a video camera and placed it next to my bed. It was what I found on the video that made me write this. I wasn't sleepwalking. It was my fears, my imaginations, my nightmares. They were real. My knees were trembling as I saw the strange man fucking phase through my bedroom door. He picked up the pillows, neatly placed them on the side table, and laid down next to me. I jumped as he looked directly into the camera, with shining, unblinking eyes. I fast-forwarded the video and he stayed there for fucking hours, just looking at the camera, not moving even an inch. Before I woke up, he simply got up and walked away, disappearing through the closed bedroom door. I am beyond fucking terrified. I don't know what's happening, what that thing is, why it's doing this, or even if my life is in danger. I need help. I need this to end if I'm ever going to get a wink of sleep again. Please, guys, help me.